So it's almost been a year since I recorded a Business Bestie Chat with Sabrina Gebhardt over on the Shoot It Straight podcast, where I got the idea of systems in session. So it hasn't been a year since I've offered this program, but it's been a year since I ideated it live on a podcast. And immediately after that episode aired, Kelly contacted me and she was like, Colie, when you do that thing, just send me an invoice. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it took me 6 months to send her an invoice, but I did. She was the first official person inside of Systems in Session. And today I want to ask her about how it was working with me inside of Systems in Session and just talking about what it means to have a luxury client experience in general. Kelly, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Colie. It's such an honor. I mean, you've been in my ear for a very long time. So to be here with you on the podcast is such an honor.
Oh, thank you. Kelly was actually one of the first people to buy the beta version of the Honeybook blueprint.
Yes.
So she was inside of the course, and I think that she'd had it for 10 months when I announced this Systems in Session. I mean, it didn't have an official name. I was just talking, shooting the breeze with Sabrina, and I mentioned it. And she was like, yeah, I just send me an invoice. I mean, y'all, she didn't even ask me what I was going to charge her. She was just like, send me an invoice.
Okay. I remember I was driving and I stopped the podcast and I at the next stoplight, I found you on Instagram and I messaged you and I was like, I just sign me up.
Sign me up.
Whenever
I mean, and it's funny when I hear other people do that, because have you ever heard me talk about that on this podcast? Like sometimes I'll be listening to a podcast and if it's somebody that I want to invite, if it's somebody that I have a question about, I literally pull over and sometimes Chloe is in the background yelling, Mom, why are we stopped? And I'm like, shh, I have to just send a note real fast.
Yes. It needs to get out of my brain.
Yes. So first, let's talk about you coming into the Honeybook blueprint. So when you bought the course, were you already a Honeybook user?
Yeah. So I was a Honeybook user from the get-go. And I know that wasn't originally your cup of tea. So when but I wanted to work with you so bad because I know you're a systems guru. And so as soon as I saw that you put out the beta version, I was like, instant buy. I was like, finally, Honeybook and Colie together. I mean, it's just perfect. And so I was so excited to be a part of that from the beginning too.
And so tell me, how were you using Honeybook for your business before you joined the blueprint?
Oh, that's a good question. I definitely was not using Honeybook in its fullest capacity. What did I have? I think I just had the contact page linked to my website and I would use it for, I had all my client emails and everything. That's where I did all my communication. But that was it, just my contact form. And I did have an automated reply to my contact form.
Well,
I did.
You know what?
Yeah.
I say that's bare minimum. Okay. So you were bringing everybody in with a contact form. You were automatically sending them a reply that said, hey, I've gotten your inquiry. I'm going to get back to you, standard 24, 48 hours, whatever it was. Okay. Were you charging people in Honeybook?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. You were invoicing them. Okay. Were you getting signed contracts?
Did I? Yeah, I think it was just the standard contract that Honeybook recommended.
That Honeybook gives you. Okay, so just their template. Sorry.
I think
so. Guys, so I've never asked Kelly how she was using Honeybook before she bought my course. Yeah. So this is new for me.
Yes. Do you know what's hilarious is I had the legal page contract and I just never actually used it.
Didn't put it in Honeybook.
I had it for years. So embarrassing.
Let me ask you about your client communication though. You said that you were sending emails to your clients. Were they templates or were you writing them from scratch every time?
Okay. Pretty sure I was writing them from scratch.
Okay. So now that we've established that she is just another bare bones user, at least she was bringing people into Honeybook. Kelly, I don't know that you know this, but there are some people who still use their Squarespace or their Show It contact form, and then they manually type people into their CRM. So I'm just letting you know you were not bottom basic. You were one level up.
Good. I love that. Yeah. Good. Not the bottom basic. Yeah.
Not bottom basic.
I wasn't there.
Okay. Well, I mean, you have a very luxury client experience. So I mean,
do.
High touch, all of the things.
It's come a long way.
It has. When you first bought the course, in the 10 months that you had it, did
Mhm.
you actually create any automations? Did you create any booking forms? Like, what did you do after you bought the course?
That's a good question. I'm really good at like buying lots of
Mhm.
courses and not like always doing a bunch of stuff. But I remember there was like one day that I like really tried to commit, and I got, I think, just through like the first couple of videos.
Mhm.
And so I started doing some templates like with emails, but I never like got into the automations. That was super intimidating for me.
Okay. So, I mean, but that's why I think I'm so excited that you joined Systems in
Yeah.
Session, because then you didn't have a choice. I'm like, no, we are going to do these automations.
Yeah.
They are going to get done. I feel
Yes.
like we've kind of skipped over a big part of talking about you and your business.
Okay.
And that is that you are not a full-time photographer. Like, you
Yeah.
have a job. So, I am interested to know how balancing your full-time job
Mhm.
with your part-time photography business, like, how does having systems help you navigate between both worlds?
Oh, that is a really good question. So, I am not only a family photographer, but I'm also a CRNA, which is a certified registered nurse anesthetist. So, I get to take care of patients in the OR while they're undergoing surgery. Like, is that technically a corporate job? It's not really 9 to 5. Like, I'm like up I'm at the hospital by 6:30, and I'm off at either like 3 or 5.
Mhm.
So that's a lot. Like, I'm in the OR 3 to 4 days a week. And that balance was like super hard to find. And I also have like a really high touch client experience for my photography clients. And so I felt like I was dropping the ball a lot, which is why, well, I no, I really wasn't dropping the ball, but I felt like my mind was constantly going, which is why I needed your help.
Yeah, I mean, I
um,
feel like you weren't dropping the ball, but I feel like the thing that we should tell people is that you also don't overbook yourself. And that's
right. Yeah.
why you weren't dropping the ball, because
Yes.
even though you spend a lot of time at your nursing job and you only
Hmm.
have a certain number of hours to work with photography clients, you were very aware of that. And so you do give everybody a high touch. But I feel like you, more than anyone, was balancing a lot of the mental load to make sure that everything was getting done. Like, you had your checklist, you were
Yeah.
making sure that your clients were taken care of, but none of that was being done by a system. It was all being done by you, every single step. And so when you take
Yeah.
that into account, and the fact that you do also have a full-time job, which really
Yeah.
does need your attention and your,
Hmm.
it was very difficult for me to be like, and you have no systems? Like, really?
I know. I know. Isn't that crazy? I felt it really was like my mind was constantly spinning. It was nonstop. I feel like very early on, like I learned my capacity because like not only am I a nurse anesthetist and a photographer with a luxury experience, but I'm also a mom to three little. So I'm also
Mhm.
like trying to balance things like, the whole invisible load with like keeping the house going, making sure they have clothes and they're signed up for like all their doctor's appointments, which like, did I miss one recently? Probably so. Like all of these things. And my head was just like, it was just like going crazy. So I knew my capacity, but I also knew that I was at max capacity, that if I didn't change something in my photography business, hence you helping with automations, I was not going to be able to grow because
Mhm.
I couldn't even handle another like
Another
additional
client. Yeah.
client per month. I knew my capacity was for a month and I was happy with that. But, I really want to keep serving other moms too.
Yeah. So let's talk about what it looked like to hop into systems in session. So the first thing that we did was we had the strategy call, which I talk about with everyone. And
Mhm.
basically that was your opportunity to dump on me what your luxury client experience involved. And I know there was a couple things where I wrote down and I was like, really? Okay. And then you would give me another one and I'm like, wow. And you're doing all of this manually right now. Like, it just blew my mind. But at the end of that call, we decided a path that we were going to go through, which
Mhm.
was, me assigning you a task, an asset to create, an email to write, whatever it was. And we just tackled everything individually, one by one. And then
Mhm.
by the end, you not only had all of the templates that you needed, you had a very clear vision of what your client experience was and how it could be implemented in Honeybook, because you did know what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But the part that we worked on together was, okay, how do we take all these pieces and put them into Honeybook? And the parts that Honeybook was incapable of doing for you, we have to find a different solution to remind you of the personal touches. Because like one thing that you do is you send your welcome box. Well, Honeybook is not going to send a welcome box for you.
They will not.
So
I would love that, Honeybook.
So we had to make sure that like all of those pieces were there. So how did you feel about the pace of working through systems in session and like doing every template, every asset how did that feel to you? Did it feel overwhelming or did you feel like it was manageable? Like, how was that working? And then especially because again, 3 littles, you're still going to work every week. Like, you know.
Yeah. I really only spend a few hours on my business, like in total every week. So, cause I choose not to work on the weekend. So I only have like 2 weekdays to play with, like to do all my stuff and like for photography and then self-care. So I felt like the pace was amazing. And what I appreciated from you is that you're really good at like reading people and listening. And early on, I don't know if you remember this, but you're like, I think this is like the appropriate amount of work for you. And you were so good. I'm like, yes, that is very doable. You're like, we could do all of this in the next week, but I think this is like exactly what you need to focus on. I'm like, that's perfect. And so you made it so manageable for me, which I appreciated. Because what I wanted like more than anything was like accountability to get it done, which I didn't quite have in like the Beta Honeybook course. Like that's why I needed to work with you, was accountability. And I also just needed to make sure that I was doing it correctly, because like I didn't want you to do everything for me. Like I appreciated working alongside of you, because now you've taught me how to like create automations, and I've like gone on to create more automations that are working for me, which I'm so excited about. And so you just like made it in such a way that I could understand. And I'm just so, so grateful. And I love your feedback system. You were so available for me for any of my questions via email. You would look through like videos that I had, check my automations. And man, it was just, gosh, it was the best course. I'm so happy I got in and as soon as I did.
Well, I mean, I loved working with you because you and David were the original OG beta people, and you were both Honeybook, oddly enough.
Yeah, look at
so
that.
I feel like
just kidding. Just kidding.
Y'all noticed I was quiet. Okay. So working with the two of you, I really felt like not only did it really help me get a handle on how I wanted to progress through systems in session, but also like really getting a handle on what it means to like go through Honeybook at that kind of pace. Because up until then, I created the course and I've done Honeybook done for you, but I've never actually worked alongside someone in being able to explain, this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it and this is what you need to do. Like that was really the first time that I had to sit down and like think about it from like a teaching perspective, if that makes sense. Because doing videos in a course is completely different than like hearing you tell me what it is that you need. And in the moment, I'm thinking through all of the capabilities of Honeybook and I'm coming back at you with a plan, with the, an action, with a step that you need to take. And so even though it felt really weird, technically, I think the first 3 people that joined Systems in Session were all Honeybook people. It really did help me dive deep into Honeybook in a way that I hadn't actually previously done.
That's amazing. Honestly, you could have fooled me because I felt like you were on it. And also, and I know you mentioned this about David too, like, and this is why I was so resistant. And I was a little resistant to automations because what I thought and what I like kind of correlated it to is that I would be like very like, it'd be impersonal. You know what I mean? There's not like, none of my communication is really like a one size fits all, apart from like the email to send a proposal or their schedule or anything like that. But what you did such a good job with was like recognizing like what my client experience is, like what I value. Like I love like being, like I love the connection and being hands-on and making things personalized. And then you like worked with me and showed me how to do that, which is amazing. So like I have all the main steps automated, which was like brilliant that you thought about that. But then like all the in between is like me, which is so cool.
Yes. Yeah. It is you. I mean, we created email drafts inside of the new Automation 2.0 because you can make it to where it's an email draft and then you have to go in and either make changes and or approve it before it goes. So that's just one little tip for how you can make something high touch without automating it completely. Like the template is there. You're
Hmm.
going in and adding like your extra 20%, something personalized for the client, but
Yeah.
at least the structure is there so that you are notified when it is time to send that email. And then you have the ability to customize and personalize it before it actually gets sent to your client.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it. I love it so much. I'm so happy with my systems.
I mean, and that is so lovely to hear because, again, guys, she was very, I mean, I don't want to say opposed. Clearly, she hired me. Clearly, she paid me money. Clearly, she was like, I need these automations. They're going to help me. But Kelly was
Yeah.
also one of those people behind the scenes, like, yeah, but is this really going to work for me? Like, am I really going to use these automations? And I
Right.
do also want to be a little upfront about something, guys. One of the things that we discovered in Automations 2.0, because I mean, this was one of my first times jumping in with people and systems in session to build them. We actually designed automations for Kelly and then we backtracked.
We
And
did.
basically, yeah, we had made a couple of really big automations. And
Mhm.
what we realized was that every time we put a conditional step in there, when someone would do what they were supposed to do, everything was working fine. But
Yeah.
she had several instances where her clients were not doing what they needed to do in the time frame. And then when they did it at the end, it's like, oh, but now there's no way to send them the next part because they were on all of the no branches. And I know that this doesn't really make a lot of sense, but the bottom line is we actually had to take a step back. And I think it took me
Mhm.
like 3 days. I was like, okay, just, I need to think about this. And what I
Yeah.
came back to her with was we actually took apart the automations that we had built and we put it in there to where every time someone did something they were supposed to do, we actually started a brand new automation.
Yeah.
And so most of her automations were only doing something for the client did not take this action. And every time it was a they did take this action, we were starting a new automation because that was the only way that we were going to allow Kelly to not have to babysit every single one of her clients so that if they never, for example, filled out their questionnaire, they weren't going to get a planning call
Yeah.
scheduler. And then it was like, okay, well, how do we send them the scheduler? Like, you're going to
Yeah.
have to go in there and do it manually, which again defeated the purpose. She was ready
Yeah.
for the automations, but we had to make sure that the automations were going to work for her and her clients. So, I mean, that was interesting to me. I'm going to use the word interesting
Yeah.
because I don't know that I've ever had that happen in Dubsado where I built something completely and then I looked at it and I was like,
Huh.
no, that's not really going to work for the way that your clients are like taking their sweet time in doing some of these things. We're going to have to reevaluate this. And then I think that after we made that change, it was like that was when I felt like everything was happening for you. You were like, oh my God, these automations just make so much more sense.
Yeah.
And then
It's
again,
incredible.
you took the ones that we did for your family and then you blew it up and did it for all of the other offers. It was great.
Yeah, now it's just seamless. It's incredible. I still do like look over everything like every now and then just to make sure everything's going smoothly. Of course, like
Mhm.
I don't want my clients to miss anything, but it's just like amazing the mental load that it's taken off of me. It's just incredible. And that's what I'm so grateful for, especially doing all of it like before we came into the busy season.
Mhm.
There's just even more, and it's not just like as my photographer, like I still maintain my capacity with photography, but I have so much going on in life too.
Mhm.
So it's amazing how much of a difference it's made.
So you checked in, but like this is
Yeah.
interesting to me because I haven't heard you since the beginning of busy season.
Oh,
So I mean, how did that go? Were people automatically getting all the things that they needed? Did you notice any changes in your booking rate? Have you actually increased your capacity? I know that's a lot of questions, Kelly, but I'm going off the
yeah.
cuff here.
So I love it. I love it. Booking rate has not changed because that was still very similar, right? So
Okay.
I still do a connection call and everything like that. But now like clients are moving through the whole process a lot faster. Like they're getting their questionnaire right away with like my client wardrobe link. And then as soon as that's done, they're like appropriately getting their planning session call. And now we have the rolling calendar set up. And
Mhm.
so they can do that. And then they can schedule their session again with the rolling calendar. And that's been amazing. The biggest other curveball is that I brought on a client experience coordinator.
Mhm.
And so now like bringing her into the Honeybook system and like integrating my schedules with her, that took like a little learning, but like now we're there, which I'm so,
Awesome.
so happy about. Yes.
Yeah,
And you
because I
helped me
mean,
with that too.
I did. And I feel like it's so great because what you were doing before, literally with your checklist on paper, was you were like every step you were responsible for. And so now, even though you're, checking in on your systems, I
Hmm.
mean, at least you're like, hey, that client got what they were supposed
Yeah.
to get. And then you just turn around and go spend more time with your kids. Like
Yes.
you're not there, like, okay, now I have to write this email. Now I have to send this scheduler. I mean,
Hmm.
basically, you are there for the connection calls. Are
Yeah.
you still doing your planning call?
Well, yes. So now well, kind of. I just transitioned to where my client experience coordinator
Yeah.
is going to be doing the planning call. So she's
Okay.
taking that off too, and she is also helping a lot, like with the in between, like client communication with like
Hmm.
wardrobe planning and everything like that too. Yep.
Well, and so let me ask you a question
Yeah.
though, because one of the things that people push back on when it comes to systems, they're always like, oh no, but I'm going to hire like a virtual assistant, or in your case, I'm going to hire
Oh.
a client experience manager.
Uh-huh.
And so, do you think that it was more helpful to have the systems already on board and planned before she came in?
Oh
Or
yeah.
do you think that there would have been any value in bringing her on first and then creating the systems?
Oh no, this is so perfect. This was definitely the way to go because I mean, you already like mentioned it. Like it took you and me like a little while to like really settle into like what kind of systems and automations was going to be the best for my like client
Hmm.
experience. I think that would have been like a little bit more confusing, not only for me but also Lena, like to like keep like changing things on her. So now that we have it streamlined and I have all my templates like ready to go, like she's the one that goes in like after our connection calls and she sends a proposal, and now she's able to also check in on clients to make sure like, hey, automations are like going smoothly.
Hmm.
Like, so she knows the system, I know the system, I put it in like a Google Doc, so like we're both on the same page
Yep.
and we have that communication. And so now she like is confident and she knows how to move through it too and to help everything. So it's so awesome too, because if something were to get missed, like if I have had one client drop off of the automated systems, like
Hmm.
so it went to my task reminder like, hey, this client never like scheduled their or finished their questionnaire, which
Yeah.
means they won't ever get to schedule their planning session. So because they drop off, then I know like, okay, I need to like send a manual email, and then so she's able to help with that too, which is
Yes.
amazing.
And
Yeah.
I specifically remember when we were setting up those to do tasks, and I was like, hey, if hiring anybody is on your radar, we
Yeah.
need to have all of the details inside of these tasks so that you are not the person looking at them and knowing exactly what it means and doing it. You need the level of detail in here to where if you hire somebody in the
Mhm.
future and the task pops up for them, they know what the step is just like you would have.
Yeah, I'm so glad you had that foresight because I don't think I even like thought about hiring an assistant at the time. I was just like, I just fully trust you. So I'm like, okay.
You're like, and
If you
I
say
don't even
so.
think it didn't even take you that long to hire her. I think we stopped and you
No.
hired her within the next few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, she
Yeah.
was the easiest hire ever.
Ah, easier than me? I am just
Totally.
messing with her, guys. I am just messing with her. I mean, so one of the things that I'm excited about, because you and I have Sabrina in common, and I was the
Yes.
guest teacher for Root to Rise last year, but
Yeah.
you are the guest teacher for Root to Rise 2026,
Yes.
happening in Austin at the retreat. So why
Uh-huh.
don't you tell me a little bit about what it is that you are planning on teaching during this
Mm.
year's Root to Rise?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm so excited. It's still like a surreal pinch me experience.
Oh, so she told me when we were in Savannah. Okay.
Yeah, she told me like I guess like right after I left. It's just so exciting. So I get to be teaching and educating other women about a luxury client experience, which is really exciting. And one thing that I hope to like really change the definition on is luxury, because so
Mhm.
many people have like think of luxury, they think of cost, but I really want to like change the verbiage. It's really like luxury is care. And it's just all
Mhm.
about making the clients feel like cared for and like the experience. I I care so much about that. I think because a lot of us serve moms. A lot of us serve really busy moms, and moms just like really need some extra care and love and value. And so I'm so excited just like to show other photographers how to really implement some ease and like attention for these moms and connection, and just make them feel so valued how they are.
I mean, I'm excited for you to do this because
Thanks.
I feel like as you were telling me all of the steps that you take with your client, the wardrobe, the planning call, the connection
Mm.
call, like you probably had more touch points that were like actually personal, like you actually interacting with your clients than I've seen in a lot of setups that I've done over the years. And so that was something that we took a lot of care to make sure is that yes, we are automating or we're streamlining or we're adding structure, whatever word it is that we want to use, but you didn't feel like you were taken out of the equation. You were still right there at the center of it.
Yeah.
Everything still started with your connection call to make sure that whoever hires you is the best fit. Because when
Yeah.
you are only serving 4 clients a month, you don't want to waste one of them on someone who's not a good fit. Am I right?
Yeah, yes. Yes, and it goes both ways. Like I also want to make sure like that I'm a good fit for them and they're a good fit for me. You know, like we are like really going to be spending lots of time together
Yes.
during the time we're before their session, after their session.
Well,
So it
and
means
yeah,
a lot.
and then the other part of that was we talked about, your membership and we did a little
Hmm.
planning around what that offer looked like and what was the best timeline in order to
Yes.
present that to your clients. And,
Uh-huh.
it is that you are going into it. I feel like as most people should, but it's definitely like you are not thinking about any of your clients being somebody who hires you one time and then never hires you again. Like
Yeah.
I can only see that happening if someone happens to move away from where you live. Like that's the
Okay.
only situation that I see where people don't just become your long-term clients. So you do put a lot of time and care into your client experience. And I mean, if we want to use the word luxury, it does feel very luxurious. It does feel like you are there every step, like you have pre-thought of all of the questions that they will have
Mhm.
and like all of the ways that you can prepare them, not only for getting ready for the session, during the session, what it means to have the reveal after the session,
Mhm.
to, carefully purchase the curated products that you have
Yeah.
chosen to have in your
Yeah.
store. I mean, all of this together is what makes your client experience very luxurious. And I am with you. Luxury doesn't mean that it costs $6,000. Like,
Yeah.
that's not what it means to you. And I
Mhm.
am excited that you are going to be educating people on what a luxury client experience could look like for them and their clients.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm excited too because it's just so possible. If that's like someone's heart to serve moms and clients like this, then it is like so possible and attainable. So I'm glad that I have the opportunity to help others and
Mhm.
just kind of like really break it down because it just, yeah, it means a lot to me.
So tell me, other than you being able to step back, you being able to let your client experience manager do some of the heavy lifting for you,
Mhm.
is there anything else that has come out of working together in systems in session and now having a Honeybook setup that actually works for you in the way that you hoped it would?
Well, just like spending time with my kids. I mean, like these are really the days. My twin boys just turned 5, which is crazy.
Mhm.
And my daughter's 3. And my twins go to kindergarten next year. And so these are like my last like few months where I get to spend like unlimited time with them,
Mhm.
and them not have like to miss a day of school or anything like that. And they're getting like more involved in just like events, like sporting events and everything. And so just to have time with them is just so special. And now less time on the computer means I have more time for self-care. And so I'm
Mhm.
like really being intentional about my health and what I'm doing, like lifting weights and going to therapy, like just spending
You
time.
know, I love
Like
my therapy
I
days.
love therapy. It is life changing. And oh gosh, and just like really connecting with friends and like building that community.
Mhm.
Like all the minutes like really do add up. And I've also like picked up reading as a hobby,
Okay.
like it's just awesome. Like I never really thought that I would have a hobby again for a
Aw.
while. Like when you're caught in the hustle Like, it's
Yeah.
just like really hard to step out of it. But the systems and the automations have truly helped me to do that. Like, it's just been so, so life-giving. And it was just priceless, honestly. Like, your help, like having full access to you and your expertise and your knowledge, and then you just like walking me along through it all and holding my hand. And now I said earlier, now I just like feel so prepared. Like, I built my own automations for a couple new things, like other offers, like to serve clients. And so that's
And
pretty exciting.
I didn't get any 911 calls from you, so they must be working great. No, I mean, sometimes I do. Sometimes I get, and they're like, oh my gosh, so I did it and I thought it was working and it's not working. And usually it's just like some really minor thing.
Yeah.
But I haven't had any 911 calls from you other than I remember you reached out about something and I explained
There was
it
one.
like yeah.
Yeah. You're like, this is a very easy fix. I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't I even think about that? But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But other than that, I haven't heard a peep. So
No,
I
yeah.
imagine that everything is going well. Kelly, I'm so happy that you answered in that way because I think a lot of people know that like my thing is I save you time in your business. I give you ease. I lessen your stress. And what you choose to do with that time is totally up to you. And more times than not, I hear people talking about, oh, well, then I could do more marketing or I could, I could increase my capacity. I could get more clients. But you did the opposite. You're like, no, I know what my capacity is. These systems have just allowed me to spend less time and have less mental load managing the clients that I'm already getting. And now I really do get to take like that quote unquote free time and use it for me and my family and my self-care and not pouring back into the business. And you never know, maybe when all 3 kids are in school. I'm not trying to rush it. I'm not trying to do that. But like maybe when all 3 kids are in school, you might do something differently with that time. You might actually pour a portion of it back into your business. But until then, I am very happy that you are taking it for yourself and your family and your kids and like all of the things.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I'm just so happy with this balance that I found. Thank you for being such a big part of that. I don't truly would not have been here today, like in this season of life, feeling like this joy and this balance in my business if it wasn't for your help. So thank you. Thank you so much. I just love, you're just the best. I love you so much.
I mean, if we were in person, we would give each other hugs.
Yes.
Okay, guys, I certainly hope that listening to Kelly, who was the very first person to join Systems in Session, the person who reminded me almost every month, hey, Colie, are you going to do it yet? Where's my link? Where's my invoice? I hope that listening to her and what systems have meant not only to her business, but to her life as she takes time that she is saving and uses it for more time with her kids, more time for self-care, has kind of given you something to look forward to and what systems could mean for you, not just for your business, but you. If you are interested in learning more about Systems in Session, please go to coliejames.com/SIS. I currently have spots for Q1 as a pre-sale where you can save your spot with a deposit and pay the 2025 rate before prices increase on November 1st. The second thing that I would love for you to check out is Kelly's new mentorship, where you can work personally with her all about a luxury client experience and what that could mean for you and your clients. That is linked in the show notes. Or alternatively, if you're like, hey, that Root to Rise mastermind sounds good, because I know you guys have heard Sabrina talk about it, me talk about it. It is a life-changing experience. I also have a link to sign up for that inside of the show notes, and they are currently enrolling for Austin, where Kelly will be the guest teacher for 2026. That's it for this episode. See you next time.